That's me. And as you can see, I was raised a good Catholic boy. But lately I've been wondering if other faiths can teach me if there's more to life than being just a semi-professional comedian.
This is your wake-up call!
To find out, I've been immersing myself into worlds of extreme belief.
Alone, aloud, and on your knees.
Out loud, I feel like an idiot.
Go! Movie?
To have to live forever and be happy all the time would be like going into an insane asylum.
Out of space comes this alien.
This time, I've traveled to Salt Lake City, Utah. Why? Well, it's the home of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And this is their world-famous Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Could embedding myself in America's own homegrown religion give me the answers I've been seeking?
Brothers and sisters, how good it is to be with you once again.
I'll eat, pray, and live with Mormons.
Say hi.
So, Sean, are you married?
Are you proposing, Corey?
Help spread the word in the jungles of the Third World.
You feel like I'm on a chain gang.
And even explore the ins and outs of polygamy.
How did that happen?
No, don't even go there.
I'm following a calling back to the home of the Mormon Church on a search for the meaning of life itself. Young Mormon missionaries can be seen throughout the world distributing their little blue book. It contains possibly the most fantastic religious story in recent history. Instead of waiting for them to come into my home and tell me about it, I've decided to invite myself into theirs. I'm heading to Salt Lake City, Utah, to find out how such an extraordinary tale created one of the fastest growing religions in the last 200 years.
Well, I have some in-flight reading material, and I hope to have this knocked off by the time I arrive in Salt Lake City.
In the early 1800s, a 14-year-old farm boy from upstate New York, Joseph Smith Jr., claimed to have been visited by Jesus, and later by an angel called Moroni, who provided the contents of the Book of Mormon. And it's a mind-boggling read. It tells of Jesus, just after his resurrection, appearing in ancient America to visit two warring Amerindian tribes. That's right, Jesus came to America. And Joseph was believed by a lot of people.
And so it came to pass that the founder of Mormonism, Joseph Smith Jr., wanted to lead his people to the Promised Land, the actual Garden of Eden, which he said was in Missouri. Unfortunately, he and his people were run out of Missouri, then Ohio, and then Illinois, and they ended up 1,000 miles and 10 years later, and without Joseph Smith, who was unfortunately killed by a mob in the small town of Carthage, Illinois, and they ended up here in what became Salt Lake City, in what eventually became Utah.
Now, some people poke fun at the Mormon Church for being an ultra-conservative, quasi-Christian cult of bicycle-riding teetotalers. But this is a powerful institution steeped in America's pioneering heritage, with over 15 million members.
This is the 185th semi-annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Twice a year, Mormons from all over the United States and indeed the globe congregate here at the Mormon Conference Center to hear their leadership, which includes the 12 apostles and also the successor to Joseph Smith Jr., the president, who is the prophet, seer and revelator of the Mormon Church. It's a beautiful building and very expensive apparently, or you think they'd be able to spell center correctly. Bloody Americans.
Over 100,000 people will attend this conference, while millions watch live around the globe. All this from a teenage vision less than 2 centuries ago. What is it today that has so many so convinced? Perhaps it's the aging church president, Elder Monson. He, like all presidents before him, is believed to be a living prophet with a direct line to God.
Brothers and sisters, how good it is to be with you once again. In the world today, there's a profusion of profanity with which we seem to be surrounded at nearly every turn. Let us speak to others, ever keeping our language clean and avoiding words or comments that would wound or offend, as we follow the Savior with the sound of my voice. May follow those to follow him, thus shining, becoming a shining light. In the holy name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Though obviously not robust in health, the president seems well-intentioned. But I wonder how this message resonates in the real world.
Well, the centerpiece to Salt Lake City is Temple Square, and this is where Joseph Smith's followers first set up camp. Now, obviously it didn't look like this. There were a few creeks rather than these hotel resort lap pools. But the gravy on the wedding cake, in my opinion, is what's over my right shoulder, and that is the Salt Lake Temple.
For many Mormons, a trip to this temple is like a pilgrimage to Mecca.
This is not a very old building, but it's striving to look old. Close up, it looks a bit like a film set. I'm not allowed in. You're only allowed in if you're literally a card-carrying Mormon. So I've got to find another way to get inside this particular religion other than through the front doors of that temple.
So I've contacted the PR department, who quickly assigned Elder Anderson.
What about the prophet-like nature of the president, the ability to deliver a revelation direct from God? That can't be an automatic thing that everybody has.
No,
How is that determined?
Well, divinely appointed individuals, they will be supported and sustained by the membership of the church as prophets and apostles, and the membership believes that they are in fact able to receive revelation, inspiration, if you will, for the entire church, much like fathers and mothers can receive inspiration for their family.
In fact, families are considered to be divine and eternal. This begins with celestial marriage, or the sealing of the couples in the temple. As a family grows, everyone is sealed together forever, beyond death, from great-great-grandparents to newborns. But it's some notions about family that have plagued the Mormons from the very beginning.
There's Joseph Smith Jr. and his wife Emma, and it's a beautiful statue. Although if I'm going to be picky, For it to be more accurate, there needs to be about 30 or 40 more wives standing behind the first one. Perfect.
There is no doubt that Joseph Smith was a polygamist, as were many in the church leadership in the early years. However, the mainstream church renounced this practice in the 1890s. I've been told that to live like a Mormon, I really need to live with a Mormon family. Elder Anderson has kindly billeted me with the even kinder Innes family.
Say hi.
I'm beginning my stay on Family Home Evening, a weekly tradition.
Beautiful job. Thank you very much.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this gathering of our family this day to participate in these proceedings, and also to been joined by Sean.
Paul, a dentist by profession, has asked me to contribute to this evening's theological discussion. I want to know if they really believe the Garden of Eden was somewhere in Missouri.
We hear that story about Adam and Eve. Is that something that you literally believe, or is it a figurative?
I believe it pretty literally.
Pretty literally, so you got to...
Yeah, that there were... I'm not sure about how our species developed.
Is there an official...
Yeah, there really is.
We don't speak for the church.
No, well, I wonder because
but just my own beliefs.
I've been reading it a bit, and you know, there's the suggestion that Missouri was the original Garden of Eden.
And they then, began the human race as we know it now.
And what about Jesus coming to America to visit the Amerindian tribes?
Now, from what I understand about the Book of Mormon, there has been an appearance, has there not, by Jesus since the
to his
crucifixion.
other sheep, and so the people here were part of that other sheep, that fold.
The Inneses have been in the church all their lives. They have 5 grown children, 3 grandchildren, and now, at least for a little while, me. And so my immersion into life as a Mormon begins. At the center of church life is a lay priesthood of men.
Well, good morning, brothers and sisters.
Paul, my host, is our local leader, or bishop. But rather than being preached at from the pulpit, I discover that Mormon services are about members of the congregation giving their sometimes emotional testimonies.
And she has been so hungering and thirsting after the Word of God that it was so touching to me how she texted me at night and say, "Hey, I need some more scriptures to read."
My life as a Mormon soon gets very busy.
Tuesday, we're going to be doing the road cleanup down by the church.
People of the church go out and gather together all the trash you can find and put it in a bag, and I'm sure then they dump it in some other parish. There's a mother load here. This does actually appear to be a human leg.
Deer.
Oh, it's deer. I thought it was a man and that was amusing.
Yeah,
but now it's a doe. Now it's Bambi, and it's less amusing.
And Bambi died here. Wednesday, I believe that's a big day. There's a cannery assignment. I think Sean was going to be able to join the group to can something.
Each ward of the church must also provide volunteers to work in their network of agricultural businesses.
We hope you will enjoy serving here today as you contribute to the Lord's method of blessing His children.
Today I'm helping Laureen and her friends bottle honey, harvested, I presume, from Mormon bees.
After you, I'll go this one. It's very Laverne and Shirley.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Except Laverne and Shirley are making beer. And I don't imagine that we'd be making beer in Salt Lake City. In your own home, you have a store of food to last you how long?
As members of the church, we've been all asked to have at least 3 months to be able to live on.
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
It's okay.
I can't put the lid on that one, can I?
Yeah, you can.
I can. There's less in that one now. Someone's going to get shortchanged when they buy that, and it's my fault.
They won't ever know.
But where is all this produce going? To find out, I've wrangled my way into the bishop's storehouse. In the early years of Utah, the rest of America saw the Mormons as a threat. Not only did they have multiple wives and confronting beliefs, they were self-sufficient.
Hello, Sean. How are you?
According to Elder Richard, the man in charge, the church today has vast resources and economic power.
The church owns a number of farms,
right,
and everything they make comes here.
Yeah. This building here was designed to withstand a 7 to a 7.5 earthquake.
But what exactly are the Mormons preparing for? Do they know something that I don't?
The real beauty of the building is what it's used for. We lay up in store commodities to feed the poor, to take care of the poor.
So this is not about the end of the world. It's about helping it.
We would assure the people, yes, there's help available, but it has to be done in the Lord's way.
So although the Mormons will help anybody, each moment of need is also an opportunity to spread their message.
He said, if only the government had a program like this. And how we fund all this is that members of the church around the world are asked to fast for a period of 1 day or 24 hours, 2 meals, and then to donate the equivalent of those 2 meals into a special fund called Fast Offerings.
Is it a monthly thing? Or?
Yeah, it's a monthly thing, usually the first Sunday of the month that they do that.
Well, these days, that would be quite a sum.
Yeah.
After an intense few days of living the life of a Mormon, I'm feeling surprisingly at home.
My take on Mormonism thus far is that it's small-town America writ large, or at least my impression of America that one gets from old movies where everyone knew their neighbours and everyone was very supportive if there was trouble and celebrated with each other and that sort of thing. There's no condescension, there's no sanctimoniousness, and that surprised me a bit. So it's all very nice, really. I'm very much enjoying being here.
Mormon society has everything needed to sustain a virtuous life, including its own prestigious Brigham Young University, where Nathan Innes studies free from distraction.
When you apply to this school, you have to say, I'm willing to follow the honor code, which is, and it has some additional rules beyond being a member of the church, actually. Mm-hmm. For example, the beard thing. You can't have a beard. You can have a mustache, not a beard. And you can actually get a beard card, which is permission to have a beard. If it's, you know, if you're an actor, for example, which you are, that works, you're fine, you can go in there and take a test.
Well, it's very kind of you to call me an actor. you obviously haven't seen my work.
But in general, I really appreciate it if you're not into drinking and if you're not into partying. You're surrounded by people who you can relate to and you can interact with. Mm-hmm. There's a testing center on your left. They're very strict with
testing centre? What do they do
Academic
there?
honesty.
Oh, of course.
So this is the building you go.
Given what you're
Yeah.
talking about, I assume there'd be some urine analysis at some point. That is very vigorous. Or they check the length of your hair.
This is a highly rated academic institution. But the more I read the Book of Mormon, the more perplexing I find it. It tells me that the Amerindian tribes of what became the Americas were not the indigenous people of the land, but rather Israelites who had migrated from the Middle East in around 600 BC. How can young university students accept this? I decide to go drinking with Nate's dorm buddies to find out.
What have we got here?
Okay, we have sparkling apple grape, or sparkling apple cranberry, or just sparkling apple. What'll it be?
That's fine. Well, I don't know if I want to be pressed into making a choice yet. But I was saying to Nathan earlier that I'm, you know, there are a number of things that I have in common with the Mormon faith, and that I don't drink and I don't smoke and I don't have tea or coffee. But have you been curious about alcohol, for example? Have you tried alcohol?
I don't know if I should say that. We tried a non-alcoholic wine the other day. With some of these friends.
Yes, and what did you think?
I thought it was very astringent. I feel like I've fulfilled that curiosity without getting drunk, so there we go.
After a couple of stiff juices, I decide to push the friendship.
I've started reading the Book of Mormon, and I have one question. How is that possible? I wondered whether you'd ever asked those questions. Is it a puzzlement? Is it a difficulty for you, or
any sort of objection or question basically comes down to, you know, do I believe that Joseph Smith is a prophet of God and that he translated the Book of Mormon?
And so, like, when we give people the Book of Mormon, it's not like, here is an introduction to the Mormon faith, as much as here is proof that this church is the true church of God. And so it'd be interesting for me, at least, if you would, like, pray about it.
Bless his food and a nurse's strength in our body.
So is that it? Just have faith and pray about it?
Many things we were able to accomplish today.
people I've met, they've all been lovely people. There's been a distinct lack of cynicism. I haven't met a cynical person. And, you know, to be honest, I quite like a bit of cynicism every now and again, and a bit of cruelty, to be perfectly honest.
So, Sean, are you married?
Are you proposing, Corey?
You know, I'm looking too, so...
No, sadly, I am taken. Keep hearing about light versus darkness, and of course, you know, one can't see anything in darkness, but, you know, I think if there's too much light, you can't see anything either.
So how does a Mormon deal with the darker things of life? Tomorrow, I will learn how they cope with tragedy. Mormons do seem irrepressibly happy. So how do they deal with tragedy? Tonight, I'm allowed to observe my host, Paul, on his weekly rounds administering pastoral care.
Hi, Lisa.
Lisa, how are you?
Is it something that is a surprise to you when you have the knock on the door, or is it something
No.
you expect every month or so?
Yes, they usually will make an appointment and come, so we know when they're coming.
Lisa's a recent widow, and so one of my charges is to visit the widows and make sure that things are going well for them in their home.
I think what we'd like to do is hear a little bit of your story, Lisa.
Oh,
Do you want us to kind of fill them in on?
Yeah.
Was it June?
June 19th.
19th. June 19th. There's a how many mile relay is it?
It's 200.
200-mile relay, and he collapsed. Paramedics were there, but unable to revive him. Anyway, Lisa, maybe you can talk a little bit about your feelings maybe on what you still have.
We believe that we're sealed. Like, I'm so grateful that we were sealed in the temple, because I don't feel any different today than I did a year ago. I still feel married to him. I still feel like he's the patriarch of our family, and I recognize the blessings that he still very much is a part of our lives. Lots of things have happened that show us that he is still watching out for us, and I'm so grateful that he gets to be my companion forever. I really miss him, but I know that this time that we are here on earth is just but a brief moment in the perspective of the eternal life.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
You did that without a Kleenex box. I was looking for the Kleenex box.
I know.
The nicest gift I think that they received was someone left a box, you know, a big package of Kleenexes, like 6 boxes of
It was
Kleenexes.
great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's a sad
We
time.
went through them all very quickly.
Yeah. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for Ty's life and what it has meant.
Lisa's faith gives her great comfort, but it also says she can never be sealed to another man. So I do wonder what this part of her faith will mean for the rest of her life.
Thanks. Take care.
Much of Mormon life seems to be about following the script and proving that you're worthy of a place in the kingdom of God. But I've always found this a bit troubling.
But I don't think we're put on this earth to spend it auditioning for a role in the next life. You're at risk of denying yourself a fully rounded life in which you can contribute greatly.
Every week, hundreds of 18 to 20-year-old Mormons arrive here at the Missionary Training Center. It is a time of great emotion and pride. They are saying goodbye to the protected world they know and accepting the mission to serve their church and God.
Unlike most drop-offs at school, the pickup won't be at the end of the day, it'll be in 2 years' time. And in the interim, the church becomes mum and dad. Now, I'm going to be a mature age student here, and a very ill-dressed one. So I hope I fit in.
Elder Anderson from Mormon Public Relations has smoothed my way through what is ordinarily a divine application process to become a missionary.
You need to go into the field as well. I think we can arrange a visit for you to, let's say, Fiji.
And just like the young missionaries that come here from all over America and the world, I'm thrown in at the deep end. They will spend up to 6 weeks doing extensive culture and language training.
Okay,
I'm going to get about 24 hours. This is one of the largest language schools in America, and it's expanding because the number of young Mormons signing up is ever increasing. It is remarkable to think that these young men and women straight out of school are being sent into potentially hostile environments to try and change what people believe in. God is a thorny subject these days.
So a bit nervous?
Really nervous. You know, it's completely different language and culture. Such a different world, but I'm really excited too. It's gonna be great to get to know the people. I've heard that they're lovely people.
After lunch, it's time for my missionary makeover.
As I'm an older man, compared with your usual customer, could you make sure that you don't reveal my bald spot?
Yes.
My barber is a convert, and as a student missionary, I'm interested to hear why an outsider would be attracted to this faith.
Dad died when I was young, and that just was really, it was traumatic. And I didn't really...
How old were you when that happened?
I was 12. Okay. And I had been to other churches, and I remember looking for something that was lost.
Mm-hmm.
As I walked into the building, I remember feeling the Spirit. And I knew at that point what it was that I had been missing.
And at that point, you had certainty.
Yeah.
An unshakable belief.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
The relationship between barber and customer is a sacred trust.
It is.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Mormon society seems to be perfectly structured to maximize belief and minimize doubt. But what happens when young Mormons go on a mission? Surely exposure to the wider world must make them at least question their own faith. I'm hoping to find the answer in the jungles of the Pacific. The remote island nation of Fiji is nearly 10,000 kilometers from Salt Lake City. Like all new missionaries, I'm assigned a couple of old hands who take me straight out on their beat. And I'm expected to wear the uniform, which incorporates a stylish nod to local men's fashion.
Right, where do we go?
We'll just wait for the bus to pass, and then the house is right here.
Taufa and Paratha, originally from Australia and New Zealand, are visiting a young woman who is very close to joining the church.
What are some of those promises that you remember that we make when we're baptized?
Stop reading tea and coffee and things like that, and drugs, don't smoke, don't commit adultery, and don't watch bad movies, and girl relationship and boy.
Yeah.
Well, it's very interesting, the journey of Mormonism from Salt Lake City all the way here to Fiji. What we're left with is for the promise of everlasting life. All you have to do is obey the 10 Commandments, not engage in homosexuality. I personally find it a little bit of a pity that homosexuality is mentioned right next to the 10 Commandments, as if the prohibition has the same weight. Taufa and Paratha, very nice people, very young, you know. It struck me just how young they are. Do you still do the door knocks? Do you go and...
Yeah, we do that sometimes.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to hear, then, yeah, we just thank them for their time.
If I was their father, I'd be a little worried sending them across the waves of far away from home like this and having them fend for themselves for 2 years. Certainly not a holiday. This mission is it's like hard work. So there are occasions when people aren't too kind to them, when they say, no, thank you, we don't want to speak to you. Taufa said that it hurts their feelings.
Day 2, and we've been assigned to a work party providing volunteer labour to a local farmer in need.
You want to slip? You want to hold the machete while you cross? You sure? All right.
Yandra
Hello. Australia. I think he's in charge, and I think relies a lot on the benign labour supplied by the church. There's only him left, apparently. His wife passed not so long ago. Should we start? Are we waiting for others, or are we waiting for it to rain more? That's good. I mean, I like the idea of working in a field with a machete while dogs bark at me. You feel like I'm in a chain gang.
As I toil in the field, I learn that the missionaries are kept very busy and relatively cut off from their life back home.
The church says you cannot speak to your parents other than twice a year. Doesn't seem any reason for that to me, other than to make sure that the children aren't distracted from the message of the church.
But now that we are so far from Mormon HQ, surely some of the young missionaries are opening their eyes to the wider world. I decide to ask young Elder Nelson about something that's been troubling me since yesterday.
And what about homosexuality? Because there's nothing in the Gospels about homosexuality. It's one of these things that's in the Old Testament.
Yeah, we believe that's a trial, you know, just like some people have addictions and things. But in our religion, we don't accept it or tolerate it, I guess. But
so it would be hard for a gay Mormon.
Yeah, but we.
What happens?
You know, very much love the person and support them. You know, if they want to quit, you know, well, can't really quit, but but you know, if they want to, you know, I know a lot. I have a friend who was, but he, you know, got baptized. Has nothing to do with it anymore. Of course, he still has the same feelings, but.
So you'd encourage the church would encourage abstinence.
Yeah.
And prayer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and
is he happy?
Oh yeah, he's very happy. He actually plans on when he comes home, plans on marrying a girl in the temple, and you know, marrying her for time and eternity. So.
And how are you finding your own faith on this trip?
I'm finding like here, it's growing a lot more than it did back home.
It's clear to me that the mission system is as much about securing the faith of its own people at the most vulnerable and impressionable age as it is about converting others.
I see the sincerity and I see the deep emotion that these people feel, but I'm not moved by that. I'm not moved by that on any level at all. I find it interesting, but I can't get caught up in it on an emotional level. I'm constantly being told on this particular journey that faith is the answer to all the things that you don't know or any doubts you have, is that you go to faith. I can understand why that leap of faith is important, but what I can't accept is that you would leap over something that didn't make any sense. I wish I could do it. I really do. It would be a great thing to be able to do, but I can't. In fact, the more I travel, the less I know.
Still struggling to connect with the Mormon faith, I've returned to Salt Lake City. How can I embrace this religion if I don't believe the visions it is based upon?
The real difficulty is that
The keystone of the Mormon faith relies on you accepting the word of one man. That's Joseph Smith Jr. And you have to accept that he met an angel who showed him a book with gold plates in it, and that angel gave him some seer stones, which he put in a hat and put his head in the hat and was able to translate the reformed Egyptian, and that as a result of that translating, we have the Book of Mormon. I have a sneaking suspicion that we're dealing with a delusion here at the very least, or dishonesty at the very most. And it's all a house of cards, because if Joseph Smith is not a reliable witness, then everything disappears in a puff of smoke. Maybe the answer lies with a splinter group that the Mormon Church has shunned and condemned. I'm going in search of these people who see themselves as the original polygamy practicing Mormons. So that Utah could become the 45th state of America, the Mormon Church abolished polygamy. For Mormon fundamentalists, this was the ultimate betrayal of their faith. I've decided to come to the deserts of Moab, where we're going to meet some people who practice a form of Mormonism that is less distilled and, in fact, probably more fundamental than even that we've seen in Salt Lake City. They live in a house that's actually inside a mountain. This is Rockland Ranch in the high-altitude desert of southern Utah. Here, a small community of polygamists live off the grid in houses blasted into the side of a monolithic rock. The ranch was founded in 1977 by a Mormon polygamist who had 3 wives, 38 children, and 87 grandchildren. One of the children still lives here. This is Enoch Foster. On the left is his wife, Katrina. To the right is his other wife, Lillian.
I like to present faith, whether we're talking about taking leaps of faith into something like plural marriage. Does that produce any good? Is it only heartache? Is it only pain? Is there growth? Is there good that comes of it? Whatever we're talking about a desired result that we want, and then the question is the means to get from A to B. But every decision you make and every decision I make is a decision of faith, and every decision requires some leap of faith.
I think it requires a lot more than that. To me, having 2 wives at the same time sounds complicated. While she's homeschooling the kids, I decide to ask first wife Katrina how on earth this came to be.
When you first married Enoch, had you discussed the likelihood or possibility of there being more wives?
It was a big concern to me when Enoch and I started falling in love.
So what was it that changed your mind?
Basically, the more I fell in love with him, the more I had a desire to live it. Seeing what a good dad he was and what a good husband he was, I felt like he could bless more people than myself. And, you know, eventually I started having questions and started going, you know, would you ever consider marrying this person, you know? And
I see you both met Lillian.
Yeah.
Socially.
Yeah, well, she was actually a very close friend to Enoch's younger sister. It wasn't until she was almost 18 that I seen her at a family function. I said, there's something special about her. There's a special bond I have with this girl. And I finally told Enoch, I said, I really feel like this would be a good thing. And he said, I feel the same way, but he said, it's up to you guys.
So how? How did it happen?
How did it happen? I was so scared, you know. I was like, how do you approach that? You know, just no, don't even go there. And so I go up and, you know, hi, how's it going? You know, so how are you doing? And I'm just thinking, you know, I'm gonna just kind of fill it out and see, you know, thinking this is gonna be months and months process. And she just, out of the blue, and it shocked her as much as it did me. She goes, I've got my answer, and it's yes. And she kind of, like, did I just say that? Oh my gosh, did I just say that? After a few minutes, Enoch came up wondering what we were doing. We're sitting there hugging and crying and laughing in tears, you know, and he's like, what's going on? And Lillian turns to him and goes, we're engaged.
Okay.
And we were married 1 week later.
1 week later? Wow.
1 week later.
Good
morning.
Hi, how are you?
Thought I'd better come say hi. I didn't know you guys were here.
Second wife Lillian is in her late 20s and has just had her 7th child, bringing the combined total to 17. I ask what attracted her to this lifestyle.
I was praying a lot. Oh, Lord, I want to find you again. They come along, and I was just like so drawn to them. I actually was excited at the idea of choosing the role of a mother and a wife. I didn't expect a second wife role, but...
So I wondered whether, after that second marriage, whether you felt you'd lost something?
I definitely went through times where it was a struggle, and, you know, this is bringing out different things in my husband that I've never seen before. At first, it scared me a little bit, and over time, I started realizing, you know what? I like what this is doing for my relationship. It's building my relationship in new ways. It's building me. It's refining me in different ways. It's bringing out things in my personality, things that to me I want to work on and to better in myself and to change.
Can I ask about the possibility of you both getting another sister wife?
I do feel very strong that there is someone else. I don't know if it's others, but I know for a fact that there is someone else who belongs and someone to grow with. And I know that that would offer me more growth.
Are you guys ready if I call order? Boys?
Lillian, Katrina and Enoch seem happy.
We are missing Moroni. Okay, what about Joseph? I don't see Joseph.
They provide for a cricket team and a half of children under one roof and in the middle of nowhere, yet no one seems at all stressed.
Did he want the train to stop and take him on board?
But still I don't understand. Why put yourself through this extreme form of matrimony? And how is it driven by faith?
If you want to summarize our faith, our religion, I would say the Mormon faith, the Christian faith, our family's motto, everything's about relationship. Relationship are both ends and means to God. Trust-based, integrity-based, love-based relationships that allow us now to interact in a way that you get enough of those together and they make something bigger, something more, something even more powerful than they were individually.
Enoch and his wives are convinced this is a holy principle from God. I'm not so sure. Joseph Smith entered into plural marriage because of a new personal revelation years after his original vision about the book.
This is what the angel Moroni had written on the gold plates that Joseph Smith found and translated into English. Wherefore, my brethren, hear me and hearken to the word of the Lord. For there shall not any man among you have save it be one wife, and concubines he shall have none. So one wife and no one else. And that's from the Book of Mormon. So I puzzle over how on earth it could have ever been that Joseph Smith decided that polygamy was the thing that Mormons would do.
Confusingly, there are statements both for and against polygamy in the Bible and the Book of Mormon. Like Joseph Smith, to resolve these conflicts, Enoch uses personal revelation and reasoned faith. And he wants to show me how this works.
Joseph Smith commented that personal revelation was the foundation of Mormonism. It's every man and woman's duty to go and get the Spirit of God for themselves and to know for themselves if something's true.
Have you had that experience?
I feel like I've had many personal experiences.
You're not going to leave me up in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, are you?
All right. This, my friend, is our experiment in faith. Are you ready?
Sure.
So, what we want to be thinking about here, there's going to come some point where there is the leap of faith. There's some risk involved here.
So what are my chances?
I'd say 50-50 of survival.
Good, all right. I can
Not bad.
That's okay.
But what's interesting to me is there's still going to come a moment where you're going to decide whether to jump or not.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, you're going to face fear. What we have here, Sean, is the difference between blind faith and reasoned faith. Mm-hmm. We have the right apparatus in place. We've done our homework. Now all that's left with your leap of faith is simply deciding if you want to overcome the fear. To the bottom.
What the hell?
Well, I have taken Enoch's reasoned leap of faith and survived.
There we go.
And then it dawns on me that what really makes Enoch a fundamentalist is that he lives his life in the spirit of Joseph Smith, a maverick finding his own path to God.
He's using the Book of Mormon as a malleable bedrock for his own particular philosophy of life. Doesn't feel like he's bound by the rules and the dogma of the church. And he's obviously keen to grow a community around him that is of the same mind and is doing that.
So more power to him.
The key here, I think, is personal revelation. In fact, just about every Mormon I've met on this journey has had one. And so I've decided to drive right across America, heading to the very place Joseph had his personal revelation, to try and have one of my own. This is Palmyra in upstate New York, where in the 1820s Joseph Smith first had his visions and dug up the golden plates on which the Book of Mormon was engraved. Arriving at the Smith family farm is like stepping into a Mormon postcard. I can also feel the warm embrace of the church PR department with the appearance of Sister Sutton.
I like the fact that Joseph Smith was just able to go into his backyard to find God and Jesus.
I love that perspective.
He didn't have to travel very far, did he?
By the time Joseph came on the scene as a 14-year-old, this area became known as the burnt-over district because there had been so much fervor and fire of the Holy Ghost that congregants had separated into different groups. Joseph wanted to know what he should do, what faith he should join. And in this grove, he knelt down and prayed vocally. So that combination, my grandma loves to say, alone, aloud, and on your knees. He said, a light appeared, and in the light were two personages, and their brightness and glory defied description. And with that introduction, Joseph was invited to not join any of the churches.
Well, I don't know whether I'll have the same revelation, but I think I should go for a walk in the grove.
Alone, aloud, and on your knees, though, like my grandma said.
Out loud, I feel like an idiot.
No, you are talking to a father, your father, who loves you, who knows all the journey that you've been on so far. And he wants to support you in the choices that you will make to bring peace to your life and to your family. He loves you.
All right, I'll have a crack at it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Proud of you.
All right. You won't listen?
No.
Okay.
You're on your own.
And so I enter the sacred grove. Just like Joseph Smith, I too have been searching for a sign, and so I too will kneel and pray and ask God to come into my life. Well, I'm afraid there was no vision or voice or man in the sky. But I have had some revelations about the Mormon Church and the nature of faith.
It's interesting that Joseph, as a 14-year-old, happened across something which I think has probably got an enormous amount of truth to it. You can have a personal relationship with God or Jesus or this tree, whatever you want. And you don't need the intermediary of a church. You don't need dogma.
But because Joseph